been a couple of days since I've posted. I've actually been super busy, so I wanted to thank everybody who's checked out any of the videos lately, and everybody who's been checking out the website, and actually just I've gotten a little bit of an influx of new students, and got actually just this week, two really good questions and lessons. I always get good questions, but two that I felt like were worthy of doing a full YouTube video on. So that said, the first question was, hey, Josh, how important is it to like know all my scales? And I get actually like variations of this question, but I think this was like the first person in a while to just be like really, how important is it to know them all? And I usually give out kind of similar information for this, but I'm gonna give you guys at YouTube and for my student, just in case he wants to revisit any of this information, kind of present that all here. But here's my position on scales. I think it's not nearly as important to learn the shapes of them, like these things. It's way less important to know how to do that than it is to know how to hear everything about the scale. And when I say everything, it's like I have like some ear training that we'll do. We'll do like maybe a basic ear training thing, like level 1 of understanding the scale. But not only would I understand all of the notes in the way that we're going to present, but I also try to understand the harmonies between the notes. Like within this scale lives a whole bunch of harmony. That said, the way I start to understand this harmony is to start to combine notes. So, like if I were to take the first note and the third note, what's the sound of that versus the sound of the first note and the fourth note? The fifth note? What's the difference, you know? Can I add 3 notes? 1, 3, 5 would make a triad, right? So, right? That's the triad that would go with that. What about if I was root in 6, root in 7? Like, what is the effect of each one of those so that when I play, I can really like use every ingredient of the scale to cook something that tastes good, you know? Right? Like that's much more effective than even if I'm skipping. Right? Like that even in itself maybe is more impressive than this. But it still is like an exercise, and it's not really taking anything that's musical or using it in a way that says I understand what this scale is and what it does. So I think much more effective to learn the sound of the scale than to learn the shape of the scale. And that said, you can learn like different shapes and play the same scale. So like, yeah, like what's the point, you know? More good to know the sound and to connect the sound from your head to the hand. So a really good exercise I think for that is once you learn like maybe a shape, I'm not going to knock shapes. I love shapes, but to understand what they sound like and use that sound to your advantage, I think is something that's important. Because this and this will allow you different skills, you know? Like I can't play this from here. That would be... It doesn't, like, it's not really a very convenient... I can do it, but it... Like, I can't do that the same way in both of those positions. So, it's, again, you want to learn the sound and then connect your hand to the sound. So, a couple of ways that I do that. number one is try singing every interval of the scale, right? Like, so if this is do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, right? Easy as that. From do, re, do. The way I always remembered it was something called associate repertoire, which means you learn a song that does every interval. So for my song that was do, re, do, happy birthday to you. Changing up my rhythm a little bit there. I hope none of these get like, goodness gracious, I hope none of these get copyright claimed. But that's what I use for do, re, do. Do, mi, do. When the Saints go marching in. Right? For do, fa, here comes the bride. Right? For fifth, Star Wars. I'm sorry. Wow, how did I mess that one up? But for perfect fifth, Star Wars. Major sixth, my Bonnie. Right? And for major seven, I actually use an octave and then one step down. So somewhere over the rainbow. So if you can remember that melody, then you can figure out somewhere O, some O. That is your major seventh. So that's one of those things where if you can hear them in your head and you can play them, then you can start to use your brain to sing something and then tell your hand to play that thing that you sang. And a really healthy exercise for that is if you can actually try and sing something and then play it back, right? So if I'm imagining all that C harmony stuff, doo-doo. I'm a horrible singer, I'm sorry. Right? Right? Anything that you can play, you should be able to sing it too, and anything that you can sing, you should be able to play. I had this teacher who was really, really great at this, and he's the one that told me to do this, Paul Wingo. And one day I asked him, so Paul, are you playing what you're singing? Are you singing what you're playing? And he said, yeah. And it was a perfect answer because, yeah, that is exactly what it is. When this gets truly connected to this and this, then that's how it works. And if you're doing it correctly, it should feel that way. That your guitar is kind of telling you what to sing, and you are then in turn singing back to the guitar, and we become one in this way with the guitar. So if you can try and when you learn a scale, no matter what scale it is, if you're doing a pentatonic scale, if you're doing a major scale, if you're practicing your Dorian, if you're working on your melodic minors, whatever that scale is, if you can internalize it and sing it, sing what you play, sing your scale, that's the way to learn a scale. And is it important to learn your scales? Yes, but is it important to know all of them? Not if you've correctly internalized. You can always add things and subtract things like flat notes or sharp notes or different ingredients, add notes, subtract them. You can always do that later, but I think that the best thing that you can do is just understand a simple scale on a very, very deep level. And then, again, if you want to add later, play a scale with a flat 7, play a Dorian, whatever, that's fine. That is what it is. But first thing is always first, and if you can't do that, then it's not worth learning another scale. You know, if you don't fully learn the first one, what's the point of learning them all? Because they'll just, you know, be kind of useless information that you can't use musically. Anyways, that's my rant on it. I'm gonna go ahead and play you out. I hope that you enjoyed this music maker lesson. If anything was like at all confusing, I do much more in-depth lessons on my website. So please go check that out. musicmakerlessons.com. Links in the description.